You can hear as well, right?
Yes. Everybody can hear?
Yeah.
All right, sick. So for them, good evening. For me, good early afternoon here on the Anatomy Podcast. And welcome to what will be another defining episode for this podcast, as we have the entirety of Bonecarver, reincarnated from Cannibal Grandpa, which was a band a long time ago. And Bonecarver, as of last year, they have released a full-length record, Hate, and through Unique Leader Records, alongside other bands on that roster, including Warm Shepherd, The Breathing Process, Vulvodynia, Waking the Cadaver, so many legendary and heavy bands in the scene, some staple heavy bands in the scene. And through the Unique Leader Records, kind of just push and shove per se, like, you know, it's okay, you know, just kind of the escort from Jamie Graham and the team over at ULR. Sorry. Tonight we host the entirety of Bonecarver, which I am very excited for. And among other things, people, tonight is going to be a very special episode just because we will also eventually be digging under the skin of an album that has yet to even come out yet. And quite evidently, by the time the session uploads is when the album will be coming out. And this will also be when I am out in Arizona. So just keep that in mind, but I will do my best to edit everything accordingly. Now, this deep into the life cycle of the podcast, you guys are more than familiar with the formula we have here. So no need for me to explain. Basically, all you need to know on a little bit deeper than surface level basis is that this is my way of telling the stories of bands all across the world, or just in our own backyard here in the United States. Again, though, tonight it's going to be Madrid, Spain, which is really, really cool. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to taking the time to jump on the podcast, tell your story, and even promote your upcoming record in what us both mutually feel is a pretty good way of like representing and promoting the record. So as we descend into the first major section of the podcast, for starters, how you gentlemen doing tonight? I know it's a lot more later over there per se.
Well, we're doing great. As we were talking behind cameras, it's Sunday. It's been a long weekend, but yeah, we're doing great.
Good.
Just enjoying beer, as many of you can make.
There you go. gotta breathe a little bit.
Here's like 9 p.m. by the way.
Right. So what's really, really cool is that, yeah, again, like I said, this is another episode where we reach across the world, man, and we get to talk to musicians over in countries outside of like my understanding per se, because I'm a pasty little US white boy over here and I have yet to do any significant traveling on that level. So this will also be a great opportunity for us to pluck some perspective from folks over in these other countries. You guys can, you know, you'll have an opportunity to talk about the culture and like the pros and cons of like where you're at, just out of absolute transparency. That way people kind of have more of an understanding, especially if they're on my level of white, as far as just understanding these other places in the world. But as we descend into the first section of the podcast, basically right now is the opportunity for everybody in the band to go from the earliest point in their career and their lives as musicians, as artists, as people who are just kind of partaking in creative mediums. Maybe you started out drawing and then, you know, eventually you got into music. Maybe you were into various sports and you ended up getting into music, or you've been with music the whole time, had an upbringing, a family, a history with your lineage of musicianship, because we've had plenty of folks like that on the podcast recently. So basically, whoever wishes to go ahead and take the lead and go first. Obviously, introduce us. Let us know your name. Let us know your role in the band. And then after that, let's go ahead and turn this into a little documentary, right? And let's go to the earliest part that you wish to discuss or disclose to the audience, and tell us about everything you feel is relevant to your legacy as a musician and as a creator. Anybody may take it away.
Well, if anyone in my band wants to start, if not, I'm taking the place. We could say at the beginning, as you said, let's go back in time.
Let's go back in time.
So long ago, we're in 2022. We made about 2010, more or less 29. I met Alex, the other guitarist. I'm Alberto. I'm the other guitarist of the band. We are two guitarists, a singer and a drummer right now. We don't have bass guitar at the moment. We used to have, but not now. And we can get into that later.
Of course.
But the thing is that at the beginning, I met Alex in a campament, and then we started playing in the same basketball team. You say about the sport history.
Yeah.
And we were playing together. It was funny because we were the only guys with long hair in there. Being like 13, 14 years old, all with our ponytails, like playing basket. And then after all the matches and everything, we just go to his place and we started playing guitar. Like, hey, I just bought my first electric guitar, and I just have my first one too. I was in classical before, and it's like, okay, let's start playing together Metallica songs. And we started with his origins, and I got the chance to enter in a rehearsal place with some other guys. One of them was the first bass guitar that we had, Leo, and I started playing with them. The other guitarists that was playing with us came out. I tell Alex, like, hey, why you are not coming with us? He told us, like, okay, I'm going. We start playing, and then the drummer decided that he was not playing what we wanted to compose. So he told us, like, I'm quitting. I'm leaving the drums in here. So just search for another drummer. And we just start with a different, like a Facebook. But it was on Spanish Facebook. That is what's called.
Right.
I think it was. Yeah, it's like, and we just created an event. Like, okay, we're searching drummer and singer. Like, we don't know how to play, but I don't know. We want people. And Fernando and Ruben came together, and we started playing together. And after 3 weeks rehearsing together and just meeting each other, we made our first show, 2013, if I don't remember bad.
Yes.
From that on, we released our first demo. Thanks God is not now on the internet because you don't want to listen to it. And then 2015, I think it was Feed Your Food album from Cannibal Grandpa era. Then 2017, 18, I think it was the acceptance single Inferno. And then we just had like some years in which the first bass guitar left. We had another one. That other one also left the band, and we just decided to be the original four of us. Keep playing. We know each other. We know how to treat each other. We've been working together almost for 10 years. That's the point. This is why now we are really comfortable on what we are doing and our music, in the new name, in everything, because it's like we really know what the other ones wants to do, and
right,
everyone has a role in the band. So at the end, we work together. I work really well with them, and that's I think a little part of our strategy. The thing is, like, we are really best friends between us, and that's the most important for us. And we try to do this together, because if not, there's no other way to do it. So
right,
in a short way, I think it's something like this, or history. And now we're releasing Carnage Funeral, as you say. 2021, it was Evil, and we may see what the future has for us. So
right, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's a great start. I do appreciate you starting us off with that, Alberto, because it's very, very important to kind of also have a back of the book summary, as we will later in the session. But this time, in this situation, for the legacy of the band, because though people have been listening to this podcast every now and then, many people today, many people who like TikTok, who like Snapchat or Instagram. Well, they like having it short and quick. That way they can move on. So that's definitely the quickest summary I think we've had for a band's legacy, its history, its various lineup changes, and everything in between. So great start. And Alberto, starting off and kind of like rewinding a little bit, because we definitely want to make this about every member individually. Like we don't do frontman syndrome on here. We don't do I'm the founder of the band and you know, like this is my chance, you know, that type of thing. We're all about no, everybody, absolutely everybody, like get into the nittiest, grittiest detail about like maybe various paths that you're like, holy shit, this could have easily happened and that would have absolutely like not canceled, because canceled is a very bold word and that means people are socially attacking you and shit, but just like, you know, the simple steps throughout your life that can easily just alternate a path entirely and like make something non-existent in the first place. So if anything, Alberto, you said that at the very beginning, when it came to doing music in general, it started with you and Alex, and you guys were playing basketball. And then, you know, you guys were the only kids with long hair, which is so funny because looking back on high school, that's exactly what the situation I was in. It was only the mandatory, you know, the required sports classes that I ended up attending myself, like weight training. And other than that, I'm like, no, dude, I want to be a musician. I want to be an artist. I ended up becoming a stoner for a little bit, like all that fun stuff. And, you know, all of my teachers were calling me Jesus. They're like, dude, you look like Jesus more and more every year. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm white, dude. I'm pasty white. I may be Dracula or something. That could be a better description, but never Jesus. That dude was not pasty white. He was not like Wonder Bread white, to be more specific. So, you know, that was always a thing. So if anything, as we're kind of going back, it started with you and Alex. You guys were just doing the basketball thing. And like, was it kind of that same situation where you're like, it's a required thing for school or something, but other than that, it's like, we don't really care about this. This isn't like really the thing we want to do. And eventually you ended up like getting more into music after school. You were kind of like disengaging with those sports activities and decided to go like to a house, either you or Alex's house, and you guys were like making music, correct? Am I understanding that correctly?
Right. Yeah, the thing is like we started in another way. The thing is like I think in Spain is different than in the States. I know that in the States is like sports seasons, and almost everyone as if it was part of school, you had to do a sport or something. In Spain, you have like physical education class that is like, okay, just start running and let's go play with a ball. So for us, it was a thing. Like we went to have training in 3 days per week, and then on Saturdays we had matches with other teams from Madrid, where we are, Madrid, from Madrid, Spain. And at the end, it's like, okay, tournaments and everything. Alex quit the team before me. I just stayed like 1 year more, or I don't remember well. Alex maybe could know it. But the thing is like, we just left because we were just kind of tired of the team, of the people around, and we were just like, okay, we are now more into music. And personally, for me, it was more like when you're playing, for example, basketball, and me, you may not see in here, but I'm almost I know in centimeters, but I'm almost 2 meters. I think it's like 6.7.
Okay. Yeah.
Or 6.9. The thing is, I'm really tall, so I was the pivot. I was the one under the basket, and like I'm always just like going for the ball and having a lot of passes. And things like so many times, I'm like I have my fingers getting out, and things like when I want to play guitar, that's a problem.
Right.
And I just quit judo because judo was the same. It was just like you have to get a good grip of the opponent and just move it really hard.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now I have a tournament, now I cannot play. So I knew that I prefer music. So there are some of us that do more sports than others, but I think we are all more or less in fit.
Right. Yeah.
I think I would say Ruben is the one that is more in fit.
I was on parkour when I was
parkour.
young.
There you go. Dude, parkour is so fun. I could never get into that because I'm way too big. I'm like 6'1", 6'2". So like and I've always been awkward. I was raised to be awkward. I was raised to be cautious, raised to be afraid of like, you know, crossing over simple obstacles because I was also raised in the borderline like police home, like police military home. So it's always like, no, you cannot grow your hair out because then you look like a hippie. I'm like, because I want to be a hippie. No. And you know, that type of thing. It was a mechanic for sure. So, and like as we move along, definitely the details like that are most important. It's like, well, yeah, over time when you're in competitive sports, and even if it's just a sphere with like some strange textures to it, that way you can grip it better, throw it, all that fun stuff. Even a guy like you, Alberto, who is considerably taller, you're just like, well, you got to choose one thing or the other, and that's what I'm talking about. Is like the forks in the road and stuff. You could have easily said, you know what? I want to throw balls more, bro. Like, let's do this. Let's get serious about sports. And you could have easily become an athlete. Like, looking back on it, was there even like the slightest chance you were like, what if I did end up like being serious about basketball? Or was it like, just music? Like,
not really. And I was really shit playing, so not really.
Well, at least you're honest about it, man. It's all about being humble and honest. So that's really cool.
Like when we started, we were just like I don't know. We were I'm the second youngest of the band, but we are like from the oldest, from the little one. We're just like 1.5 years. So it's like we are almost the same age.
Right.
We started the band when we were all less than 18.
Oh shit.
I was 15, I think.
Yeah.
And Ruben was the oldest. He was 16. So
yeah.
At the moment I know in the States, I think it is the same. But in here in Spain, it's like common, like going drinking in the street with friends.
Right.
They say,
well,
and I remember so many times, like, okay, all friends from high school are drinking outside, but now we have to rehearse. So now we're in here because we like this. And then when everyone has to go out because it's like, okay, you're a little child, you have to be at 12 at night at home.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, we're going out. But we were the 4 of us and some friends of us. At the end, we have so many friends that you say that many some of us be good at drawing or another different things. Ruben has really cool ones.
Right.
About composing music, instrumental music, orchestra. Ruben will tell later.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
The thing is, like, at the end, we just have a group of friends, and all of our friends are always around our music or painting arts, and that's the kind of people that we were into. And at the end, we just ended up in there. And the rest, for the people who like to know how you raise the band to that moment, is just work hard. As a famous rap artist that Fernando loves, he has a really good lyrics that says, and work and shut your mouth out, shut up. So
yeah.
Like, just work and shut up.
Yeah.
And we try to follow that
right.
for so long ago. That's the point. Just enjoy what you're doing. Work hard, enjoy working hard, and at the end it will come or not, but you enjoy it. So
exactly, and that's really important, is to have that determined mindset, because if you don't, it's like if you're lazily just like, I'd love to make an EP, and like you're barely nudging off the couch, you're like blank, just like on one string on a guitar, and you're like, that's an album. It's like, no, that's not an album, that's one note, buddy. You know, there's a lot more to it than just one note. So it's even that mindset that really helps concrete the idea of being in a band, being in a project. The moment that starts falling apart, it's like making a brick wall, but not getting the mortar in there. That's like the final step. And if you don't have the mortar in there, it doesn't matter if it's bricks. You can still just, with the palm of your hand, it's going to hurt for sure, but you can easily just, and that's one brick out of the wall. You know what I mean? Another brick in the wall. Pink Floyd reference. There we go. So... So as we continue, I definitely would love to. You said you are the rhythm or the lead guitarist, Alberto?
Normally I'm the rhythm, but the thing that Alex and I do is the one that compose the solo does it. So.
Oh, you compose?
The thing is that Alex is better doing shit picking than me that for far long, and all those things. Alex has a really good point on composing metal. I don't know, you can give him just an ukulele and a Marshall MG30 and he will do some metal. So no, for sure, I've listened it. So the thing is that Alex is really good with that. So
Right.
normally it's like, okay, fuck it. And at the end we just do music that is like we like to do like simple parts because they are easy to play. You can move more on the stage, and also for people to understand better, like, okay, that I
Yes.
can understand that riff. But at the same time, I really love to play hard things. Okay, Alex, how the fuck you have to compose this shit because I can play it. And then it's the same but in the opposite direction, and it's like at the end we just like to, okay, let's try to improve ourselves composing things that make us work hard. Yeah.
Yes. Ideally,
So
it's like you got to continue challenging yourself, otherwise it gets boring as a musician. Yeah, exactly. So
I think it's when we are now.
Yeah.
I would say, I would love to say that I've seen so many people saying like, oh, there's so many things about orchestral music these days, black and deathcore and all that shit. That for people that doesn't understand is that just listen to our old music and see how it has been coming.
See how it has evolved.
In the band, and we love soundtrack music, so it was the common sense to do for us.
Exactly.
And we really like this kind of music. And if you want more slam music, then you have Evil. You want deathcore like Whitechapel, Somatic Defilement. Let's go hear the Fear album from Cannibal Grandpa. It's like, okay, we just do what we feel in that
You
year.
do what you are comfortable with, and you do what is challenging to you in an entertaining way. And that's all that you need as a musician. So if anything, as we're wrapping up basically what will be Alberto's section for the people part of the podcast, I wanted to pluck off of you, whether it be an artist, musician, band, an album, or even maybe a philosopher. Maybe there's an important family member that's kind of like always supported you throughout your musical endeavors. Basically just provide the audience 5 of things from those categories, if that makes sense.
About someone that has supported us, I don't know, just to try to understand the question is
right.
What people who have supported us, something that has inspired us, or
basically anything, any person, album, or artist in general who has helped you kind of carve the path to go from your old band to Cannibal Grandpa to Bonecarver, just your general musical legacy. Any person, band, or album who's inspired you along the way.
My personal one, I let everyone say what they prefer. For me personally, I always got a lot of support from my parents. They help us a lot at the beginning when, as I told, we were all less than 18 at the beginning of playing in our city or anything. It's like, okay, Dad, we have a show. Can you please bring the stuff with us in the car, and the rest is going to the metro or the bus or something. And he was coming. I think the first 16 concerts, he was all in all those concerts, and he was in there watching the concert, enjoying a beer, and helping us carrying stuff. So they've been really supportive for all these years. Also, when I decided to quit a physical university and start doing it online because I wanted more time for the band, because we were supposed to have so many tours and at the end some of them canceled. But they've been really supportive. There are some artists around that they've been changing from different épocas. Like, for example, the beginning when we started with a 50-year-old album, I was really into deathcore, but the band from my teenage years was Lamb of God.
Okay.
Yeah, I was more into from the death metal scene, like Immolation, Nile, and the mix with the deathcore. I really like it. I think Alex was like me. Fernando and Ruben, for example, if I don't remember bad, they will say better. Yes, after. Sorry. They were more into core music, like metalcore and hardcore, and they just get into the death scene when they mix with Alex and I. And at the end, all together, we created the sound. We didn't say like, okay, we want to do deathcore. It's like, no, we are just doing what we feel that we want to do, and at the end, it is what it's coming out, and it sounds like deathcore. Okay, I let you put me the label of deathcore in my face, but I'm not fan from doing this. It's like this sounds kind of death, but the thing is like, maybe a lot of people would say this is deathcore, but we like black metal, and we have another genres that we like, and at the end it's our sound. If you wanna say it's deathcore, so you can tell to a friend that knows what is deathcore but doesn't know us, okay, let's do it. But for me, it's like, okay, it's metal music, and we have good raw voices, we have 8-string guitars, and our drummer goes 300 BPM, so it's okay, it's death. That's it. If it has a breakdown, it's correct. Okay, it's deathcore then.
Yeah.
But and inspiration, I don't know. I think you get inspiration all around. It depends. So many musicians, writers, different life experiences that you have.
Yeah.
I don't know. It comes where it comes, and I could not tell you like this is the thing that has come with me all these years. Because
Right.
I told you I was 15 when I started with them playing. Now I'm 25, so things change. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're fine. That's a lot of pressure. Like for any musician, it's like, is there actually 5 records, artists, or even people simply that you can just isolate it down to? So as a guitarist, then I would then ask, is there like, what's your, I'm not going to use the word favorite, because for whatever reason, it's cool to like try to pluck a favorite from someone, but also the word is incredibly kindergarten. It's almost like cringy to just be like, what's your favorite riff from your favorite band of all? I'm like, no, stop it. So if anything, what is an iconic riff? Because you were mentioning Metallica earlier. You were mentioning that you and Alex.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
I like them. I just started with metal with them and with Sepultura.
Yeah.
Gojira and Sepultura. Around 2012, 2011. I started listening to them. But for me, right now, one of the best riffs that I like, and always playing it in all the sound checks, in all the shows, is the principal riff from Invidious from Ingested.
Dude. Yes.
Man, that's so powerful.
Yes.
I like it. It's simple, it's basic, it slams. So
yeah, seriously, man, I love Ingested, and like shout out, not that Jason or literally any of the guys in Ingested will probably ever hear this podcast anytime soon, but if they do, it's like, for one, I cannot wait to see them November 4th, because I'm flying out to Arizona to see them, and like just a whole bunch of other stuff for my 23rd. It's gonna be so much fun, and like I'm sure you guys have at least seen that poking around a bit, just like, sold that tour, Lorna Shore, Ingested, aborted, you know. It's crazy, man. Like Ingested is definitely, they're really the reason I think I got into like death metal / slam, because after them it was like Aborted, it was Organectomy, and it was all these other just various slam / death metal artists. I'm like, okay, now I understand what's going on. And like, I don't know, Ingested has always been incredibly narrative based. They don't have like solid concepts for the records, I think, but like you can tell a story is being told, and that's really cool. So I'm glad to hear that you are an Ingested fan. That's really cool. And Invidious, holy fuck, dude, such a good song. So okay, if anything too, what I would want to do, because I always like doing this as a music journalist, as a creative person, I guess, is I wanted to ask, because you mentioned that you were going to college for a little bit earlier. So outside of being the guitarist for Bonecarver, is there anything else that you're doing right now that you're building towards that you would just like want to talk about or promote?
Well, I have another band, pop punk band.
Really?
With one of our best. Yeah, we have a best friend that is. If you saw the video clip from Revolver, from Evil album, the guy that gets crazy and shoots all his family, that's the singer of the pop punk band. Yeah.
All right.
This is like really funny because he's not like appears in the video. In the video, looks like a maniac, but normally he's like the funniest guy and the loveliest guy that you could meet. We have a pop punk band singing in Spanish. Quinto Diario. I don't know if some of the listeners are fans and wants to listen to something that they're not going to understand because we speak in Spanish. We talk about friendship, about hating our city, having beers with our friends. So
That
that's
sounds
really
fun.
yeah. And then, as you may discover later, all of us we started really soon with the band. So more or less, we have created our way around the music. And I started studying economics. Yeah, but I quit and I did advertising and marketing.
Ah.
And then I've been working in doing different things like working in web pages from guitar stores.
Okay.
I've been working in a company as a financial consultant. Now I'm searching and changing for something. I want to do something about marketing and working in things. Also
Yeah.
with Ruben, we like to work doing videos, as you will see later. Also,
Yes.
Ruben is the one in charge of doing all the videos from the band.
Oh, sick.
And apart from that, yeah, we work for all the bands, and I help with the production and pre-production. He's the one, the magic one behind the camera and the edition. He's the real the one that works. I'm almost around and helping a little bit, but yeah, we're multidisciplinars. We
Right.
would say so. Yeah,
no, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's basically me. I do
Cool.
a lot of things and nothing at the same time.
Right. No, I mean, you got a lot going on, man. And like, by all means, these days, when it comes to being a musician, it's like there's a lot more that goes into it than just playing riffs and knowing the equipment that you're going to be using up on stage and all the other stuff. Like these days, you got to be 3 different things at once to really be getting stuff done in the world. And for me,
I love it, but that was only 3. If it was only 3, I would love to be a musician, but it is not. There are lots of things to do. But yeah, I don't know. At the end, it's like you get raised like this, and you know what is in the industry, and you have to fight for it. And you were telling before about how is the culture in here, and I would say that I don't know how it's in the States. I've been in there, but not when I was a musician. And the thing is, in Spain, for our genre or metal genre, is kind of, I would say, difficult, not impossible. That it's difficult to raise because there's a lot of culture about around thrash metal, power metal, and that's the kind of things that the metal that it's little kinds of people that likes to listen to metal, but the 90% of them only listens to power metal or thrash metal or all genres. But young people that listens to core music and with the screams and going more into the death hardcore and all that mix, there's not really a big scene, and this is why we almost don't play in our country.
Right.
And we like more to tour around Europe because at the end of here it's like really hard to get a venue with people.
Yes.
And I know. I remember when Luke Griffin, it was a collab from our second album, came to Madrid to our presentation show in 2018. And he was amazed because we played with them the famous song from Macarena, Disillusion of Send Them to the Slaughterhouse. The live show with the Cannibal Grandpolo and
oh, that's crazy, man. That's cool.
And he was amazed, like, wow, in Spain the things move so hard. This is like really big, powerful scene, and we were like, no, man, this is 8 months of production and advertising to have 500 people here. So no, that's not like this.
And I mean, you just said too that like the scene for like the core genres and the heavier genres of the world is not that present in Spain. And this is all I have to say. Yet, you guys are going to be the hometown heroes, guaranteed. And I think you guys are going to be the reason that Spain starts having a bigger scene like that over time. Like, after all, dude, I've talked with bands from Indonesia before that like you would think that there's not really anything metal going on there. At least I didn't. And then when I talked to Agung from Makhluk, which is like one of the coolest solo projects, I think, in the industry, really, they just recently released a song really, really good. Surfer Slam, I called it. But like I learned that basically not only do they have one of the world's biggest slam scenes, but also they are one of the only countries that legitimately and seriously talks about crimes and people blaming and placing the crimes, the responsibility of the crimes on cryptids and monsters, and they will openly announce on the news like there was basically a pig demon who robbed me last night. I know it was a pig demon. Couldn't be any of my neighbors. It had the head of a pig and the body of a person. I swear on my life there was a pig demon in my house. And they're like, back to you, Charles, or whatever the fuck. And, you know, just like, oh, the weather is not great, but, you know, we're dealing with it the best we can. And that's their news. I'm like, imagine talking about monsters and cryptids on the news so casually. I want to go, like, that's the reason I want to go there someday. And he's like, absolutely, man. The moment you come over here, we'll take a drive around town, and we'll get you introduced and affiliated per se with our culture. And I'm like, absolutely, man, when I have the money. But no, I'm sure you guys are going to be the reason that Spain starts developing a more prominent core genre community. And I think it's going to continue to gradually progress with the release of what will be Carnage Funeral. But as we go ahead and continue on with the story of Bonecarver and its members, whether Ruben, Fernando, or it says Tenophilus?
Alex, sorry.
Alex,
that's idiot.
That's my nickname here. I don't know why I put that. Sorry.
No, you're good. I was just so confused. I'm like, oh god, I'm about to really look like Wonder Bread white boy over here. Tenophilus, like.
Yeah, it sounds like a Greek god or something.
It really does. Tenophilus versus Hercules. It's like, who will win Friday night? You know. But anybody next who wants to take the reins, they may go next. And basically the same thing that we just did with Alberto. Go ahead and do that. Go from the earliest point on that you're willing to, and tell us everything about you that really just made you a musician and helped you kind of be like, you know what, Bonecarver? That sounds like a pretty lit band name. Fuck it, let's do it. And just, you know, one album in so far and one on the way. Whoever wants to take the reins, they may, though.
Okay, I will go.
Okay.
Okay, right. So I think I started getting curious about music when I always been curious about music and instruments and stuff, even when I didn't play anything yet. So I think it really became a real thing when I started high school. I met a guy who played electric guitar, and I was like, I only knew Spanish guitar, well, classical guitar, and for me it was like, my mind exploded. Like, wow, this is so cool, man. I want to know more. I want you to teach me more bands, more music, more stuff. And I guess it was there when I started getting curious about. Then I bought a guitar. I met Alberto. We started playing together. We started talking about music. We discovered that we had same interest in music, I guess, like same kind of music, same point. We wanted to make a band or play together or do something. So yeah, I guess it started there. From there to today, I guess, like we've been playing together since then. And well, apart from that, I also started playing with more people, apart from Alberto and friends. and yeah, then when I finished high school, I started studying music production and sound engineer and stuff.
Yeah, with me.
With Ruben, we were college partners. And yes, since then I started working with bands and artists and stuff, like in the studio. Since it's my main job. So yeah, this is why I also do the music production stuff here in Bonecarver. Like I record, mix, mastering, and all this stuff. And Ruben makes the backing tracks. I mean the
orchestral arrangements,
orchestral shit and stuff. And yeah, everything in Bonecarver is it's handmade, I guess. Like,
yeah,
I'm in charge of the production. Ruben is in charge of backing tracks and also videos and stuff. Alberto is in charge of all the marketing stuff that we do in apart from the label, you know, like and yeah, and Fernando is a super cool guy. And, and things like hell, you know.
Yeah, compresses hell into his throat.
It doesn't need to do more because it has the brutalest voice ever. So
I can only imagine. So if you let him in the band, you just like imagine just like a subpar like a vocalist interview, just like, yeah, you can come in the band. Just like very, very non-enthusiastic or something. So I can only imagine that Fernando has been delivering and, you know, kind of filled out the application and had a good resume already. But so we're learning about Alex here, which I think that's so funny. I was like, Tenophilus? Like, is that your name? Like, am I about to have a moment? But
no, it's not my name, but it's my kind of my surname.
Right.
My surname it's Tena. My name is Alex Tena, and this is why I put Tenophilus, because I'm an asshole and I do that kind of
we call him like this.
No, that's a good stage name though. Just like, welcome on stage, Tenophilus. You're like, rah, chong, 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 chong.
Yeah, it sounds like wrestling fighter or something.
Exactly. It's a good stage name. I like it. So, you know, like with what Alberto was telling us before, and that allowing for those two paths to kind of intertwine, we're learning about how, you know, you've been doing music production and sound engineering. You do it for the band and you do it for other bands too, which is super cool. And that's really important, is when you have a guy who can compress everything that, like you said, is handmade, organically made by everybody else, organically produced, or like, you know, for lack of a better term, produced by everybody in the band, and then you just Bonecarver. It's a process. It's very important. And when it comes to these days, not wanting to like have maybe time delays or maybe across the table, everybody is so busy that they have conflicting schedules and stuff, and it takes forever to get music released that way. It's very important, and it's vital, I would say, that you have someone in the band, if you're lucky enough, who really professionally knows how to do that type of stuff. And you know, you said you do sound engineering for other bands. What is the producing studio per se that you operate under? Like, what's the name of it? That way we can give it a brief shout out, if nothing else.
I don't have a website or a name, because I just produce under my name.
Right.
And anyone who wants to work with me knows who I am. So I never need like a website or a studio name, which I should. I don't lie, which I should, but I don't have it, and it works for me till now. So
for now, yeah, definitely cash in on the Tenophilus in the future, just like Tenophilus Productions or something. I think that'd be pretty lit, dude. That could work wonders. But no, that's really cool. What other bands are you able to disclose? Like, what other bands that you've done sound engineering, mixing, and mastering, and all that stuff for?
I do. I don't only do bands. I work with a single artist, because I don't only work with metal. Like, I work with several music genres.
Right.
So I work with many people, but everything, I guess, is underground. You know?
Right.
Because it's not like I have a studio here. Many people call me for like, hey, can you mix me this song? Can you mix me this album? Can I record this shit, whatever? So I work with many people, but I wouldn't say like a super band or super big band that you would know.
No, absolutely. And that's completely fine. But more or less to kind of like expose the world more to like what you're doing and the artists that you work with. Like, what are some artists that you have mixed and mastered for, to give them a shout out and kind of like plug them on?
Right. I will say, for example, there's a pretty good band from Spain that I did the album recently, maybe a couple of years ago now. They're called Counteract. They're from Madrid. They also play Deathcore.
Oh, I've seen that.
Okay, so they're pretty good. They're right now working on their second album, which I think they're working with Chris Donaldson from Cryptosy. So
Okay.
they're doing better now. And for example, a band I did not much recent, well, maybe a couple of months ago, an anime torment from Czech Republic.
Okay.
Was it also a deathcore band that I did not quite long. So and random metal bands, man. I work with also with people that have like studio projects. Like for example, I did Exile to Decadence. I think they signed with Lacerated Enemy Records recently.
Okay.
So they are also a brutal deathcore band, but they are more like a studio project. There's a guy like with doing music with other people, but I'm not sure if they're going live or what. Right.
And you said what was the name of that band?
Exile to Decadence.
It's see, like that's the funny thing. That's the second one. I've interviewed Lacerated Enemy Records bands as of recently. The first one, the debut project that we've had on the podcast, is actually Golgothan from Louisiana, or Lafayette, Louisiana. And they're kind of like Infinite Annihilator meets like Rob Zombie. It's really cool. It's like not too heavy, but it's definitely just grimy. Like you could just hear the grimy Louisiana moss just like caking up on every single member. They have costumes and everything, but that's really cool that you've had the opportunity to work with a Lacerated Enemy Records artist beforehand. Yes. And because you've been exploring different genres as a sound engineer, what would you say is like, what was the recently, or maybe in the distant past, Jesus, maybe it's been a long time since you worked with said artist, but like what was the most fresh and kind of like challenging project, the most fresh and challenging project that you have worked on so far? Yeah, that you ever did.
Well, I'll need to think about that, because I did several things that I when I was doing that, I didn't feel like comfortable doing that. Like,
right.
For example, at the beginning, when I started producing, for me, doing something different than metal everything was rushed.
Intimidating.
Everything, yeah, was like I grew up with metal. I grew up doing metal, producing metal, and composing metal, and doing anything different from this was a challenge. So, for example, when I started doing like music, electronic music, or working with reggaeton artists or people that make something completely different to what I grew up with, at the beginning that was a whole challenge.
Yes.
Right now, I guess I'm used to more or less anything. I wouldn't say anything, but because there's a lot of music genres out there, but I work with a lot of different shit. So right now, I can write more or less whatever.
Right. Actually, like that's really cool. And at least compared to the beginning, when you were first getting started out, you're like, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make sure our shit sounds good, and then I'll work with other artists when I have the time and when people are willing to pay me the money, because I know how to do this shit. Like now you're like, well, not only do I work on my own band stuff, but I work on plenty of other bands in the scene who aren't like, Lorna Shore huge by any means, but enough people know about them. They're on good record labels or YouTube channels that help them promote their content. And then on top of all of that, you've overcome the challenge of going outside of your genre-based boundaries, which is really good. Because as a musician, that's very, very important that you're not like 24/7 deathcore, death metal, grindcore.
No, but
like
but you know why? Do you know why this happens? Because in Spain, it's not like in the US. Like in the US, I guess it's like you throw a stone and there's 4 or 5 deathcore bands out there. Like, right here in Spain, maybe there are 4 or 5 deathcore bands in the whole country. So I can't make a living only doing deathcore in Spain at the beginning. Like, I need to do more stuff. And here in Spain, the most popular genre is not metal, it's not rock, it's not anything with instruments. You know, it's a whole different genre.
It's a whole different ball game, and it's also because like Spain is still like when I think of Spain right now, I think it's in the same ballpark as far as culture and the sense of modernization as like Italy, France, England a little bit. Like they're pretty quickly advancing. Like, you know, just a sense of their involvement with like everything modern. Like when I think of Spain, I kind of think of just like a quiet, peaceful country still. Like
it's well known from going for holidays.
Yes.
Stuff. That's why people know Spain. But Spain is I guess it's way harder than going from holidays. There's many more shit deep, you know.
There's plenty more depth, and like, you know, just like any other country around the world, it's like it also has its shadows. It also has its dark corners.
Yeah, but I guess like every country in the world.
It's like every country in the world.
But you know, no, Spain is a very peaceful country. You're right. Like it's a very cool place to live if you want to live in peace and more or less have a decent life. Of course, there are many other countries in Europe that you could have a more. I don't know. It depends on what you want in life. For example, for us or for people that live in Spain, it's more important to have a good, healthy life. Like
yes.
A good environment, doing cool stuff, than being rich and living in a closed house with no friends or whatever in the mountains or whatever shit. We need to go to the street and do stuff, you know. So that's for us. It's way more important than money.
Yeah, dude. And there you go. Like that's a great way for us to get that question answered on your behalf. Is Kitty, as far as just like, you know, perspective upon your country, because like any of my buddies here in the US, like chances are most of us that I know and affiliate with like the subscribers of my channel, people in bands across the United States, they haven't been to Spain yet. They probably think is very similar thing to me. So it's very important to me that we get that perspective. And I do appreciate you us organically plucking that off of you per se. And it's a very, at least personally for me, when it comes to like end game, lifestyle, life choices, I'm all about community. I want to be surrounded by trees and like kind of be off grid and away from other people, to the point that at night when I have my window open, maybe it's the fall, maybe it's the winter, it's nice and cold out, the only thing that you can hear is the wind whistling through the trees. But give it about a 10-minute drive down the road, or drive down any road really, and then you have like a small, humble little town that again has its shadows, but everybody knows each other. So then when stuff goes wrong, it ends up turning into a soap opera, or like, you know, Riverdale or any of those, just like, oh my gosh, Lisa, why'd you fucking kill Brian? You know, it's just like the talk of the town eventually. For whatever reason, I crave that. So like, to answer your question, basically a rhetorical question, that would be my answer. And I mean, I'm sure Spain is beautiful. I like, nonetheless, I want to visit the country someday. It seems like it would be so fun just to have that in-person experience. And now, ladies and gentlemen, well, more or less, we have some people that we know over in Spain, which is dope. So if anything, as we're kind of wrapping up your perspective in the people part, that's a lot of peace, of the podcast, even more peace. What would be the one thing you would recommend as far as anybody trying to get into sound engineering or wanted to become a guitarist? Basically, what would be the advice that you have for someone now in the same shoes that you were preparing to place your feet in, and you're like, okay, these are comfy, that, you know, now people in your shoes now, what would be your advice to them? Sorry if that was confusing.
No, I get you. I think the most the thing that I consider the most important is listening to music, like listening to a lot of music, just to grow your mind and your music sense or feeling, or I don't know how to say it. Like your ears, you need to develop your ears, you need to develop your mind, your culture stuff. So listening to music, I think, is the most important, or the most I don't know, the way to learn more. I consider that it's more important to listen to music than to study music like a maniac.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. It's more important to expand your horizons musically, because we're about to get dramatic and epic for whatever reason. It's important to expand your horizons musically and not be so just manically attached to what's on paper, music theory and all that. But it's also super important to do music theory, because people like me can't do shit without music theory, or at least without, practicing a couple songs and just consistently practicing music instead of being like, I just want to be a vocalist. Like, no, that's not how it works. So, that's just me basically yelling at myself. So.
I don't want to sound like I'm saying that learning music theory is wrong or something.
No.
But no, it's not what I wanted to say. I mean that sometimes people think that without music theory you can do a shit, and that's not true.
Right.
I mean, if you develop your ears enough, you can do magic that you couldn't even imagine you can do. Yes. So that's the only thing I wanted to say. And for sound engineering, is I could say the same. It's the most important is to have a taste in music. So listening is the most important.
Open your mind and listen.
And watching other people that knows better than you what they're doing, and watch and learn. That's it.
Watch and learn. Watch, learn, zip up, observe, and then ask questions when you need to ask questions. That's like the beginning of learning, man. So as we go ahead and I think one more thing I do want to do, and hopefully it'll be less confusing this time because now we understand like the question at hand. Go ahead and provide us like either 5 artists, 5 people, or 5 records that have helped motivate you, that you ended up opening up your ears and listening to, and you're like, this is some good shit. Like, let's be a sound engineer. Let's get into guitarist. Like, let's get into doing guitar. Because Alberto mentioned like Metallica earlier and Gojira and like Lamb of God and stuff. So I want to pluck from your personal discography. Okay. And take it away.
Sorry. I guess Metallica is a very important band for not only for me or for us. In case of Alberto, I think for almost every guitarist, Metallica is a very crucial band in history. Like all the riffs start there for me. Like not only Metallica, I guess Metallica and Pantera. You know Pantera.
Yes.
Are one of the crucial parts of metal, or not only not even for metal, is for guitarists. For guitarists, I will say.
For guitarists, absolutely.
For hard riffing guitarist. Those 2 bands, I could say any album of them. Maybe Cowboys from Hell, and maybe the Black Album was a pretty good album.
All right, so far we have 2 that we've plucked off of you. We just need 3 more. Or would like 3 more, please.
Okay, I will say this. There's 3 left. We have. I would say a guy. I would like to say a guy, not an album.
Okay.
I would like to say Nergal from Behemoth.
Ah, yes.
I consider that guy a truly artist in a whole. How do you say it? In a whole aspect of being an artist, not only music. Like that guy. I always got inspired from that guy because I like the way he represents his art and his things. Other guy I will say is Buster Odelholm from Humanity's Last Breath or
Ah, yeah.
This guy has also a studio. He also works as a mixing engineer, and he's one of the most famous nowadays mixing engineer. And for me, it's also about very important influation or inspiration. As not only in the music he does, the way he works, the way he makes his sounds, his taste, I think it's really inspirational for me. And the one that I think I have four. The last one I would say the last one I will say my mother, because he raised me. He did everything. So sorry, because my mother is a woman.
I mean, yo, it's 2022, man. Things.
Yeah. This is what I say, because it may be necessary to say. Okay, so that's it.
Yeah, that's 5. There we go. And I do appreciate that, Alex, or Tenophilus, deciding to share that with us. Now, either Ruben or Fernando, you may take over. Just like,
I go.
Take the reins.
So I started playing drums and being interested in music in general when I was like 7 years old. I think I started like playing with plastic boxes and broken stuff, hitting them. and then my parents just saw me and thought, why shouldn't
why you hitting everything, bro?
So, drums for the kid. And just for my 8 years old birthday, they give me like a drum set,
right?
A small drum set, and I started playing. I started receiving classes, but that wasn't for me. So I was like for 1 year, and the rest of the things I learned in drums, I was just me,
right?
By myself.
Self-taught.
Yeah. And what else?
And real quick too, what age did you say that you were just like smacking shit and your parents were like, okay, we need to get him an actual set? What age was that?
8 years old.
8 years old. Wow. So you were doing that in the single digits, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then I was in a band with my brother. I have a brother that play guitar, and we used to play together just until I have like 11 years or so, and with a band called Evil Dead that later we changed our name to Hate Death. Playing near home, so and nothing serious. And then until I knew Cannibal Grandpa. I went with Fernando to the institute.
Yeah.
High school.
High school. And
college.
That was funny, yeah.
Yeah. And all the Bonecarver story that Alex and Alberto told you, you already know. At the beginning, when I started in Cannibal Grandpa, I'm not supposed to stay in the band. I just wanted to stay just until they find a new drummer. So I didn't want to to stay in the band at the beginning, but I liked it a lot, so finally I stay.
That's funny.
Yeah. What else? In the meanwhile, I was also with all the parkour stuff and
right,
but nothing serious, just for fun. And also with music composing, I started composing with Guitar Pro, like guitar riffs and stuff I liked. And later I started composing for orchestral music and all that stuff until now.
Yeah.
So,
you didn't mention you were an EDM producer,
electronic
famous
music producer.
No, but he was really famous doing that. At the time he was a famous EDM producer.
Yeah, Ruben's over here like, I didn't want to bring that up, man.
No, I know, but it's important to bring it to the table. Yeah.
No, he was really good.
Not sure if you remember. It's not a genre, but it's like people love to put tags on everything.
Yeah, everybody likes to put labels on everything. Yeah, absolutely.
And I started making metal step metal with dubstep. Now it sounds ridiculous.
Back in the day was really cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's it.
Yeah.
And I had like songs with 3 million, 4 million, or 6 million views on YouTube, but that doesn't really.
You are not proud of that time.
No, not.
It's okay.
No, it's fine. It's not good, but I look to the past and it's like, no, I don't want to remember it. No, it's okay.
Here's my question,
it's
though.
Cool. It's something cool. Yeah.
Right. Here's my question, though. Considering this metal step that you're talking about, could you compare it to any project such as, and hear me out, Blood on the Dance Floor, Breathe Carolina, or Icy Stars? Do you know any of those artists? Have you ever heard of any of those guys?
No.
No. Okay.
Icy Stars. Icy Stars.
Icy Stars. Yeah.
Right. So like, could you compare it to projects like that? Because I'm thinking metal step is just like kind of maybe asking Alexandria metalcore from the final episode era, right?
No,
and then you have just like like that type of shit.
That is like metal with dubstep, and he made dubstep with metal.
Yeah.
More
electronic.
He was electronic music with metal songs, but not metal song with dubstep.
Right. Interesting. And like I don't know, man. Like you're just like like naturally,
it was a long time ago. More than 2 years.
I mean, you listen to it and it doesn't sound good. I am at least for me. It's like sounds like the best thing about this is that it sounded good, but he didn't did a shit like for mixing and stuff because he I didn't know how to mix a song. I just composed it directly to YouTube.
But the funny thing is that it didn't sound bad at all. Like it sounded. If you look at 10 years later, it's not the same. But at the moment, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
No, that's cool. And I don't know, man. Like looking back on it, what was there even like a single move that you could have made to where instead of becoming what you are now, which is a drummer, and I mean you're basically the man behind the epic in what Bonecarver is right now, just like all that shit.
Later when I mean the dubstep era was like for maybe 2 years from 2000 to 2012 and 2014.
That's so
the 2 years that dubstep was popular.
Yeah, the 2 years that dubstep was popular, man. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
dude. Oh my god.
And then I started composing orchestral music because I always loved film and music, and it's like I needed to try what I can do with that.
Exactly.
Every day of my life, not every day, but almost every day of my life, I saw a film or something audiovisual content that I
always consuming media. No, that's exactly That's exactly the mindset to have. And dude, I almost completely forgot that you were like, you're also the man. You're the cameraman, bro. You're the perspective behind all, like, you know, at least the director, or like, you know, just like, hey, you go over there and get a good shot at me. Like, get a good profile. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's a shit, because when I saw a film, it's like I can't be attentive to the story or because I always like listen to the score, or watching all the I don't know how to say
the
soundtrack.
It's really, the soundtrack or anything.
No,
also
like, for image, like.
It's like Ruben told me, like, hey, you have to start watching a TV series that is called Sandman.
Yes, dude.
Sandman on Netflix. It's like DC Comics thing, really dark. And he's like, he's shit. There's a lot of After Effects things that I use that are in there, and I see it, and I was like, man, I've not seen anything. And he's like, yeah, that's in there. But that's
no, it's not shit. The thing is, like, there's a lot of things that are so cool, but there's other things like it's like a joke. And I can enjoy a film or a TV show because I always thinking on that shit.
Yeah, no, dude, absolutely. And like what I'm seeing here is a mind very similar to the likes. I was about to say the Reichs. I'm like, what is a Reich? To the likes of Robert Cummings, Rob Zombie. Like, dude, that dude is a massive musician, but he's also a director of shit films, but also like he's a movie director. So like, you know, that means that most likely that could be something you're doing in the future. Not only like doing music videos, but I'm sure if you have the opportunity that you might also be jumping into film, and you're like, well, I not only want to be responsible for the musical efforts and like, I'll get my boys in on the action too, but also like, how about these different angles, and, you know, like how close can we get to the Bonecarver mask before it's like ridiculous? When you have those type of thoughts, and when that's, you know, that's your focus, that's really cool for the mindset of a could be music video well, not could be music video. Fucking, you already directed music videos. Like it's just important, and I can easily see that being a thing. That's what I'm trying to say, more or less. But you know, we're learning a whole bunch about Ruben here, ladies and gentlemen, including that during the peak of dubstep, which was 2 years, you know, he was a metal step artist, which is super cool to learn. And then, you know, he does the chops, he does the music videos, he fucking he is responsible for the epic. Like, that's 3 parts, bro. That should be 3 different people, not just one. But instead, Ruben's like, nah, fuck you, I'm all 3, dude. I might as well have 3 heads going on here. I'm the living tribunal, bitch. Like that type of thing. And that's really cool. That's really cool for Ruben here. So, like, earlier, I definitely wanted to pinpoint this because I know we're pretty deep into session, and I do appreciate you guys deciding to stop by because it's been quite a bit. It's actually already almost an hour, and we're not even, like, I would say we're not even close to the music side of the podcast, but for good reason, for a very good reason. We're telling these guys a story. So, Ruben, you said you were not originally planning to be the permanent drummer of Cannibal Grandpa / Bonecarver. So, like, what was the intention? What was the focus back then? Was it already like doing videos and like video directing, or was there something else going on at that time that you were like really invested into?
At that time, I think I didn't know what I wanted to to do. Really, I didn't really know, because I always did like a lot of things like for the music, for the I don't know, all that stuff, and I never, it's like, and nowadays it happens exactly the same, because I'm in a lot of things, and I just invest my time, like 30% of my time in one thing, 30% of my time in another thing, so don't really know,
right,
but basically drums and all that audiovisual content,
right, absolutely.
for,
so like
for music and for image, for
yeah No,
the audio and the
absolutely.
visuals.
So at that point, it's like you weren't really planning on being a permanent drummer, but more or less it's because you were also at, like we mentioned earlier, that fork in the road, that crossroads. And you're like, well, I don't really know what I want to do, but do I want to become a drummer like all time? Like, do I? And I'm sure you were also doing even if it wasn't permanent or maybe it didn't have longevity. There we go. We're using a new word on the podcast. Jesus. But it might not have had longevity, but you were also like invested into parkour at the time, maybe. And you're like, dude, I'd rather be jumping buildings and running from the cops instead of chopping on a set, that type of shit. Like, what was that something going on at the time during you like loosely participating in what would be Cannibal Grandpa? Or like, was it truly just that I don't even know what the fuck I want to do, but I don't know if I want to permanently do drums?
I'm not sure if I understood all.
Sorry, there's a lot. There was a lot there.
I just got a handover. I just in a wedding yesterday, and
no, you're good. You're good.
If you can repeat.
Absolutely, no, that's fine. Yeah. I am really bad at asking questions.
No, it's okay.
I cut around the
my English is not good, so
that's the thing too. Like, anyways, English is a fucked language. Like, I hate English. But at the time, you were essentially at the crossroads. You were at the fork in the road. Same analogy we used earlier for Alberto, because he was talking about just like the different things going on in his life, and so was Alex. So at that point, when you were not even sure, you were not dead set on being a drummer, you said there wasn't really anything else going on. So was it ultimately just a lack of concrete decision at that point? Because obviously you're a full-time drummer now. You do all the crazy angles for the music videos and shit for Bonecarver, what was formerly Cannibal Grandpa. Like, was it simply that you were at the crossroads at that point before permanently becoming a drummer? That would be the question.
Sorry, maybe I'm stupid, but
you're good.
Let me ask to the guys if they understood and explain to me. Did you understand?
Yo tampoco lo he entendido.
Bravo, ¿te has enterado?
Oh.
Bravo.
Sorry. The thing is that what was Ruben doing, or what would have been the life of Ruben if he didn't went into the drumming?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, ¿a qué te dedicarías? ¿Qué hubiese sido de ti si hubiese sido batería, músico, productor, videógrafo, lo que sea? ¿De qué es lo que te llamaba aparte de eso?
That's so awesome to listen to.
You mean if I wouldn't play drums finally in Bonecarver?
Yes.
Maybe playing drums in another band.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I mean that probably is a little bit more digestible for the audience as well, because I know that was a nightmare and a half, just that 5-sentence question that I just asked. So there we go. There's something a little bit more digestible. Awesome. So as we're kind of focusing on you still, Ruben, and you're doing all of this various stuff. You've had an interesting legacy. You've had an interesting history, I would say, as a music enthusiast, a musician, and even like a cinematography enthusiast, which cinematography, you're a video guy, video producer. So up to this point, what has been what has been like the coolest part of being in this project? I guess that's definitely a high school level question. Like, what's your favorite part about being in the band? But again, the word favorite we don't use here. So far, what for you has been like the coolest thing about working with these guys and being a part of this project?
That's a good question.
Yeah, there we go. Good question.
I think the main thing is that we are not a band like formed like for professional musicians for a specific and
we didn't have we didn't have a purpose.
Yeah, right. we were friends, and then just we wanted to create music. So that's for me the important thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Apart from that, the fact of creating the music, I don't know. I don't really know.
No, that's fine. That's a solid answer as it can get, and that's good enough for us. And I think the last thing we will be asking you, just you, so the pressure is on, is we're gonna do the same thing with you. Go ahead and provide us either 5 artists, 5 albums, or 5 people that have really made you want to become a cinematographer, video producer, a drummer, and like someone who's just like the in Bonecarver. Like what are 5 artists, people, or albums that got you into that, and you were just like, you know what, this is it, this is my path?
Okay, I think every metal drummer would answer the same the same, and it's Joey Jordison, obviously, because I think for every one of us, or the metal drummers, is like a reference, the main reference in metal drums. Also, Cream. Yeah, but that's not that's more like an actual reference, not. It's a reference, of course. Cream, the drummer of Septic Flesh.
Okay.
Septic Flesh, the band, the whole band for me is like a reference for drums and for the music.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Alex Rudinger is a drummer.
Whitechapel, I think, right now.
He's in Whitechapel right now. Yeah, I think. Not sure, right? I think yes. What else?
2 more.
2 Steps from Hell. It's like I think you know them, or maybe not.
Maybe not.
What else?
That's 4. One more.
Yeah.
Hans
No. It's fine, but it's not the main. John Powell.
Okay.
It's a film composer. It's a main reference for me.
Sick. Yeah, and that's awesome. And it's definitely refreshing, per se, to have a drummer on the podcast who's also pretty passionate about backing soundtrack for a film, or just film in general. That's really cool, and that's pretty unique for a 4-person band. Like, that's cool. And I can definitely say that not every day do you hear about that, especially for a death metal band. But also, you guys are like, again, the beginning of a developing scene in Spain. So I think that's really awesome. So as we get closer, and we're now super close, people, hang on to your seats to the ending of the people section of the podcast, with maybe a couple questions afterwards, some lyrical track by track lyrical analysis for Carnage Funeral, and then just kind of preparing you guys for the upcoming album, really, which again, Carnage Funeral. We go ahead and land on Fernando. Go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us what you do, and tell us everything from the very beginning that you're willing to talk about. And anything you don't want to discuss, you are absolutely free to just tell me to back off a little bit. So take it away, sir.
All right. I'm Fernando. I'm the vocalist of Bonecarver. At the beginning of the band, we were 2 singers. One of my friends right now was the other singer. His name is Juanjo. Right now he's a 3D artist, and he's quite good. I don't know. When I joined the band, I wasn't able to sing, so I do the the interview with them, and was like, I don't know how to sing, but I want to join. I can do this shit, and was horrible, but
yeah, it was.
Anybody came to it. So was for me. But no, then I started doing it like daily and practicing, and that's how I get at this point. I think I'm quite
Better.
I like how I do it. You know, I feel comfortable with my vocals right now, so it's fine. Um, when I'm not the singer of Bonecarver, I'm a philosopher. I just ended the career in here in the university in Spain. Um, and yeah, that's my life, I think. And now I'm keep studying, and I I've been working in some shit like delivering pizza. Yeah, that was funny with my car. I don't know. I had like a funny life at this
Right.
point.
Yeah, there you go. You said when you're not in Bonecarver, you said you're studying philosophy right now in college or at a university?
No, I end on my philosophy studies.
Philosophy studies.
He just ended.
Yeah.
Oh, you just
I
ended it. Okay.
finished.
Let's see. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there's a problem with the Fernando's connection, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe?
I know.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
So can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I think we can hear you now. That was weird. It like froze for a second, so I didn't know it was wrong or like if you're having issues at your end. But so you just finished philosophy in college, and like what's I don't know, like what's your next step in college or in you like your university? What are you planning to study next?
Well, I'm studying a master degree right now in human resources management. Yeah, it's a little bit far of philosophy, but it's another area that I like to explore, and I think it could be for me. I don't know. Maybe the future will will say everything.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what the future holds. That's a fun thing, man. Like even though we're mortal and like we're not here that long, like it's decisions like that that can be the funnest thing you ever do. It's just like, yeah, fuck it. Might as well try it out, see if it works out for me, and we'll go from there. But kind of rewinding a little bit, you mentioned that when you were first getting started with music, was your first project like your first ever project slash band? Was it Cannibal Grandpa? Was it Bonecarver? Like obviously that question answers itself. Were there any projects before either of those bands that you were participating in as a vocalist that you were like, okay, so I'm not that good as a vocalist, need to season myself? But also you mentioned that there are two vocalists and that the other vocalist has now become a 3D artist. He's good at what he does. His name is Juan. Like, tell us a little bit about that. Tell the audience a little bit about that for sure.
All right. So when we start the band, I was the only singer. But then we met him, and well, we already met him, but we didn't know that he make growls and that stuff. So he started doing it, and he was like doing inhalated gutturals. I don't know if like is the name inhalated or exhalated. I do exhalated, and I think I'm missing the hello.
Yeah. Yes. No, we can still hear you. Don't worry. Everything's all good still. We're all good.
I think my internet is fucked up. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can still hear you. It's like cutting in and out, but like you're all good to go. You're still good.
All right. So in the end, he wants to go into other projects, and we keep with me as the only singer.
Yes.
I don't know.
Like here's probably a more easier question. Were you guys in another band project before Cannibal Grandpa? Like, was there another band, or was it you two jumping in on Cannibal Grandpa, and then over time Juan decided to be a 3D artist? That's what I'm trying to ask.
No, Cannibal Grandpa is like the only project I ever have. I made some collaboration in other bands like Normal in other songs, and our second bassist have a little project where I made some vocals there, and another friend was doing like a little EP with different singers and that stuff, and I did one of the songs, and I always record with Alex, so everything. So
okay, understood. So I understand it then that Juan departed from Cannibal Grandpa, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now the question's answered. That's more or less what I was curious on, because like, I mean, I don't know, maybe there was a project before that you and Juan were on, and then, you know, after that you guys departed, he did his own thing, and then you jumped into Cannibal Grandpa. So now we understand the timeline. There we go. Everything's all fixed. Again, like me,
is the time that it was before the first album from Cannibal Grandpa. So the demo that I told before that I hope that no one has it. It's a demo that has 2 singers.
Oh, okay.
So at the beginning, it's like, okay, I want to have a drummer and a singer. I'm only playing with another guitarist and a bass guitar. I need drums and I need voice. And Fernando and Ruben came. But as Fernando told, Fernando wasn't good at the beginning, but we said like, fuck it, you're coming in.
Okay.
And at the time, this guy, Juanjo, and step up in the band too. And he started playing with us. There were 2 singers and 2 guitarists, bass and drums. And just after the demo era, we'll say in 2014.
Okay.
That first year, like 2013 and the half of 2014, the first half, this guy was playing with us. It's a friend of us. He's the one that helped us with the design of the Bonecarver mask and all that things.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, with the production, the beginning, the first part of the production, but that's another story.
That's another story.
The thing is that this guy just told us like, hey guys, I want to quit the band because I'm not rehearsing with you, I'm not practicing, and I don't know the songs. And we were like, man, we wanted to talk to you about this. So we just met and we say like, okay, let's part ways, but we keep friends because that's how it's supposed to be. It's like one thing is professional, one thing is a friendship, and I know for sure that we were in the same page in that moment. So yeah, this is why Juanjo left that. And Fernando in that moment is when he realized like, oh fuck, I'm now alone and now the only frontman of the band.
Yes.
And that first show, I'm just gonna do a little remember to my guys. First show of Fernando singing alone or bass guitar in a wheelchair because he was operated last day for the show in one of the shittiest places in Madrid. And what a show was.
Right. No, naturally that sounds like a one for the books. It's great. No, that's awesome. And all appreciation, Alberto, to helping us kind of fill in a little bit of the gaps, fill in a little bit of the details. Because my English is way too complex, but also I talk way too much sometimes. And funny thing how I'm a podcaster, but sometimes I just beat around the bushes again. Anyways, so as we're getting closer and closer, I swear, to finishing the first half. Basically, Fernando, I would want to ask, like, how, like, even now, with the new record coming out in less than a month, which is crazy to think about, how are you pretty confident in your skills as a vocalist now compared to the very beginning, would you say?
Yeah, of course.
There you go.
Everything changed the first EP, and yeah, I changed like everything I did because I started doing it wrong, like everyone, I think, and I made a technique and that stuff. I don't really like to explain it because I can't explain it well how I do it, but I think it's very personal. Every singer make his own technique with the time. Yes, you can do maybe the same tongue movements, but the change of the voice must came from your own skills, like practicing, listening, and that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And when it comes to being a vocalist, a lot of times these days, it ends up being temporarily entertaining. When as a vocalist, you're like, oh, I can hear Tom Barber in this guy, or oh, I can hear Dickie Allen in this guy, or oh, I can hear the late Travis Sternod from the Black Dahlia Murder. Like I can kind of hear that in this vocalist. Like it's temporarily entertaining because you're like, oh, this guy definitely listened to all of these various bands when he was starting out. But now that's like, you know, kind of what they build their legacy upon. And that can be an issue. When I hear you, Fernando, and the latest two Bonecarver tracks, in which I have yet to listen to the Evil album from last year all the way through, but we will be doing that soon for the sake of homework and getting ready to listen to Carnage Funeral. I can definitely tell that it is indeed you when it comes to these tracks. You sound very distinguished. You sound solid as fuck. You sound crispy. And again, I think among other reasons that we've built over the session, that is the reason that I think Bonecarver is really going to kickstart a developing community of core-based bands over in Spain, whether it be in Madrid or other sections of Spain. Like, I think this next album is going to really help kickstart that. So as we continue, I would definitely love to kind of pluck real quick, because we are pretty deep into session now, 5 vocalists, people, artists, or albums off of you, Fernando, that really helped you get into becoming a vocalist.
All right. The first one that I have to mention is Luke Griffin, the singer of Acronia. I think he's the one that inspired me the most to start doing vocals, because I think it's one of the first band ever like, oh my god, this band is so fucking good. I'm so into it. It was like the first band that I was fan, like very, very fan of it.
Right.
Other bands, I can mention, of course, Alex Terrible is a monster in roles. I'm in love with his voice. I think every singer will love his voice. Is amazing. Other artists, Traitors is one of the bands that I listen the most, maybe.
Yes,
I think
all
right
about
now,
that deep fried southern hate, baby. Let's go. Sorry.
Maybe Fernando, about Vicky Allen from Infant Annihilator, for example.
Yeah, I like it too much. Yeah, Infant Annihilator is like one of my favorite bands. Since the first EP, right now, I really love, and the screams that they have been doing, because they have like other singers, but Dicky Allen is like the best of the singers of that band. They have.
So that's 4, so you just got 1 left, I think.
Chelsea Green, yeah, that's one of the first band that I like, Acronia, that I started listening to it. I'm in love now. I think the sing. I lost the clue of them a long time ago, but I think they changed the vocalist right now. It's not the same as the beginning.
No.
Yeah, but the old
I
stuff.
didn't listen it yet.
Right.
Yeah.
No, the old Chelsea Grin. You're talking about Alex Kohler, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
We're talking about the first song that we played together was Recreant from Chelsea.
Dude, such an iconic track.
We're talking about this, and this is Fernando's.
Right. Right, absolutely. No, that's great. Okay, cool. So yeah, now we've managed to pluck 5 artists, albums, all that type of shit off of all 4 of the members of Bonecarver, a technical death metal band from Madrid, Spain. Recently, as of last year, I can't say recently because it was last year, signed to Unique Leader Records after being reincarnated, and this is quoting their site, reincarnated death metal from the deathcore band Cannibal Grandpa. This has been an awesome session so far, and I really do appreciate you guys deciding to spend the time here on the podcast, because I know it is getting incredibly late over where you are, at least like 10:43 or something like that. So again, I appreciate your patience as we continue this session, and this will be the final section of the podcast session, whatever the number decides to be or ends up being, because we got a couple podcast clients before I fly out to Arizona. Everybody stay tuned for these episodes. They're going to be insane. We now migrate into the second half of the podcast. This is really where we're utilizing the analogy, the anatomy. Like, this is where the anatomy part comes in, because we are dissecting the anatomy of Bonecarver as if all 4 of these dudes were one freaking nature from Madrid, Spain, musically speaking and just physically speaking. Because, like, how fun is that to entertain the idea of a band being some type of sentient entity? Like, that shit's fun. So obviously you guys ended up reincarnating Cannibal Grandpa into Bonecarver. So I guess the first question that we would want to ask, or that I would want to ask, is like, what ended up happening that had you guys wanting to change from Cannibal Grandpa, killing it, and then reincarnating it into Bonecarver? Like, what was the collective mindset towards that decision?
There are a couple of reasons with this answer. Yeah. First one, and most important, well, it's not the most important, but I will say the first one is that the label, Unique Leader Records, highly recommended us to look after another name. you know, like, it's the second reason I was going to say is that we weren't you know, we put this name when we were like 15, 14 years old.
Yeah.
10 years later, it's not the same, you know. It's not as as funny as it was when we put the name, you know. So this caused us many problems sometimes with misunderstanding about the band when someone that doesn't know us try to figure out what we're doing. And with that name was almost always people thought that we were kind of a gory grindcore joking band, and we were absolutely not. So
the expectations we have when we started were not the same like right now.
Yeah, when we started, we were a bunch of kids smoking joints in a rehearsal room saying, what is the worst name you could ever imagine? This one. Okay, let's go for it. So that's it was not like that. Okay, but it was at the beginning. It was more like a funny thing, you know, like we wanted to sound brutal. What is the brutalest thing you could ever imagine? Cannibal Grandpa. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. And so, you know, like, and this is a lot more God damn it. This is a lot more intricate, I guess, a reason, or there's a lot more substance to this reason than we've had with previous podcast sessions. But not every day do you hear of a pretty like heard of band deciding to jump on a label. The label's like, hey, can you change your name, please? I don't think that's gonna sell well. You know what I mean?
but it wasn't like that. They were like super friendly with that. With that.
I remember, Alex. I remember the phrase that Jamie told us. That was this is not a this is not a deal breaker.
Right.
But I highly recommend you to change your name because you sound like a joke, and you're not.
And that's
I know that Cannibal Grandpa has a lot of punch because it's like, okay, the image of a grumpy old eating people is like, okay, Cannibal Grandpa, you just get into your mind and just okay, I know what what I'm gonna watch. But Bonecarver, it was like, okay, we have like our photographer or guy Alejo.
Yeah.
That's the one that is always in the behind the pictures, not the videos, the pictures
Right.
in live or in session. He's the guy, and also the one that designed the first logos, the one that we are using now, the Bonecarver logo, and the one that made the two first covers from the Cannibal Grandpa era,
Right.
like the figure. Those two guys, and we made them chat group with them, and we told them like, please guys, help us search for a new name. We need everything. We have a list of 500 names, and we say like, okay, let's choose. Maybe no. Yeah, at the end of all of that came Bonecarver, and we already had the cover made for Cannibal Grandpa. This is why first album has a lot of meaning with Alberto with the Cannibal Grandpa. And at the end, I know it's difficult. And there are so many fans out there saying like, "Oh, I like it more the Cannibal Grandpa name. You fuck it when you change your name." And it's like, man, I don't care. Now we are more comfortable with this name. We have more opportunities about talking different things because Cannibal Grandpa was like, I can only talk about the story of this guy. And second album was like, we are just like going over that and doesn't flow like that. And also it was a change in an era change for us because it was the beginning of being only four, no bass guitar playing with us.
Right.
So like the moment, the opportunity, like okay, when we are, it's like starting from zero because no one knows Bonecarver. Some may know Cannibal, but no Bonecarver.
Yeah.
But we are gonna start with the help of Uniquely the records, and it was like, okay, let's go for it. We have to do it. If we have the chance to change our name, it's gonna be now or never.
Yeah.
And this is why we got into okay. We have the recommendation from Unique. We have our own minds saying like, okay, Cannibal Grandpa is okay from the past. Now we have to do something more, something new, something fresh, and with the help of the guys that are around the band, but near the band, that help us, that they listen to all the tracks before they are released or mastered or mixed. They listen to all the demos, and those guys were in there with us, helping us, and that's the point. I know I know that there's so many people. I know Cannibal Grandpa is best name. Okay, for you, not for me. It's my band.
Yeah, exactly. It's my band, bro.
You like slam music and you say like you don't like black and deathcore shit and nice nowadays everything. And then okay, let's go listen to Evil. And you say that you prefer that album to the last one, but okay, go for it. The album is in there. So the thing is like, it's our music. We do it for ours.
You do it for
not
you.
For the rest. Yeah, do it for us.
And it's great to build community and stuff, but at the end of the day, you guys are investing the money. You guys are putting the time into the music. You guys are putting the time into the content. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And it's definitely good as a musician to put your foot down because, dude, so many people from like a very internet-based standpoint and nothing else, it's that same sense of like obligation. And, you know, like they have, you know, it like fans are very important. Community is very important when you're first building up a band. But then when fans, and not that I have any for like any of the things I do, except for the 500 subs on the Sean Cross channel, congratulations to the channel. Like it's very important to recognize that, yes, your numbers do come from the people that support your music. But it's like at the end of the day, they support what you make. Maybe in the future, there's a new demographic to where people can help you decide on like merch designs or something. And that could be something that the fans are more involved in. And they're like, yeah, I would absolutely be more willing to buy this shirt because I helped vote on the design for that shirt. Like that would be cool. But when it comes to the actual music, that's up to the musicians, people. Like, don't be like, I miss when the band had a silly name instead of something so serious. What does Bonecarver even mean anyway? Oh! Like, no, that's none of your fucking business, to be honest. Like, yeah, they make the music for people that like that genre, but they're also making the music for themselves. that's just me, like kind of just inserting my opinion, because so many people are just like they have a almost Karen mindset. We call them Karens over here in the United States, and it's so painfully aggravating, man. Like the freaking Karens of death metal. I miss when your band was called Esophagus Gorgigator. You're like, cool, good for you. Listen to the last EP if you miss that shit, or just listen to Cannibal Grandpa. Like if you want to stay in the past, bro. But we're all about the future. We're all about moving forward and doing what we want, you know?
So I just imagine them like, may I speak with the manager, please?
Yeah,
I don't
may I speak with the manager? Like, so fucking annoying.
But I think it's something natural. Like, I also do have that feeling with other bands I love, or I like.
It's like, natural, yeah.
It's natural. It's like you fell in love with some times of that band or of that music. That some specific albums, then they grew up and you don't understand.
They change.
Why.
Yeah.
Like
it's almost like
with that album. No worries. Like you were in love with that album that they released some years of their life.
Yeah.
And you're stuck in those years with those albums, and time goes on, and some people don't. So that is the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's so unfortunate too, because like if you're looking to support these people as musicians and as people, it's like you got to understand that everything changes with time. You know, some of these musicians, they start families, or they're like, you know what, I don't really want to be in a death metal band anymore. Like now, Alberto, you being in a death metal band and a pop punk band, like that's so fucking cool. But like, I know that there are some people out there like, why do you start a pop punk band? Why can't you just prioritize this band? I'm like, no, it's not about that. That's not what this is about. It's having fun creating stuff. Hell, I want to start a pop punk band someday. That would be freaking cool. Like a little bluegrass, organic folk / pop punk band. That'd be so much fun. So now I'm going to do it one day, people. You watch out. So, then after like getting back to the question at hand, of course, the migration of the Cannibal Grandpa to Bonecarver, I would then want to ask the most basic question, and the only question that we ask on every single episode of this podcast. Once you guys decided on the name for Bonecarver, was it simply because it sounded good? Was it simply because it rang and, you know, it was something that was appealing to all of you? Or was there a more specific reason with the Bonecarver mask and all of the lore with evil and what is now going to be Carnage Funeral? Is there a story behind the name Bonecarver, or was it just like, yeah, this sounds great?
I guess it's more of the first one, because we wanted to you know, the main problem with Cannibal Grandpa was the first impression you get when you hear it. So we wanted to avoid that at any circumstances. We wanted something that sounded great, or not sounded great, but something that sounded more similar to the music we're playing. You know?
Yes.
So Bonecarver was like, after a long process of choosing a name and choosing different names and stuff, it was something that it was only one word. That was something that we wanted to. It sounded good and it sounded proper to what we're doing. So that's what we wanted. The rest of the lore and stuff became later when we chose the name. You know, because we wanted to prioritize the sounding of the word and the image of the name in general, than an actual meaning like we did before. Because with Cannibal Grandpa we were taking more, we were putting more focus on the meaning than of the actual sounding of the name or the image that we were reflecting with that name. So
yes,
yeah.
Sick.
This is what also we try to keep the logo as real as possible, as the idea of a bone cover, the idea of being a logo that it has like it was bone that was carved to be sharp. And if that, we try to be okay, so it's been like 7-8 years of Cannibal Grandpa. Now we changed to Bonecarver. Let's do all that we have learned in all these years and try to do something good. This is at the same time like, okay, Cannibal Grandpa, it was only having a grandpa on the stage doing like he beats a cannibal, and it's a real serial killer from the history of the United States, and it's like doesn't fit well in the having it live, bringing it to life. And why? What will happen if we created a new character as Bonecarver, that is the one that wears the mask, that will appear in our videos, will appear on the merchandise, will be around, will be the I don't know how to say the real true evil from the evil from the first album. Is like, well, it's ways of conceiving evilness. So it's like, what will happen if we represent all of that in one person behind a mask, and a mask that doesn't have horns, doesn't have teeth, doesn't have anything like typical from a mask that wants to scare you. It's like trying to serve something that it is pure, hard, and evil. And that's how Carver lore came after we choose the name. Idea from our photographer guy. Let's say, let's give him the recognition. It was the one that bring in the name into the table. So yeah, Alejo, te quiero.
There you go. No, that's awesome. So if I'm understanding this correctly, Cannibal Grandpa, the same U.S. based serial killer from the lore of that band. Is that the main the main visual behind the Bonecarver mask then? Or
no. I may have extended like the Cannibal Grandpa era. It was everything telling about the story of a serial killer that was Albert Fish. And when we changed it to Bonecarver, we just did something different. It's like create something that kills the Cannibal Grandpa, and then go into a new era, a new way of writing lyrics, a new way of writing music, and just having everything that we have learned in almost a decade of playing together, like doing it from the beginning, but well done.
Right. Okay.
So
cool.
I think that's the origin of Bonecarver, but at the end, Bonecarver, it's a serious band after 7 years playing together.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Like Cannibal Grandpa, that was just kind of mess around. But then when Bonecarver came into view, it's like, okay, so now we have a label. We're gonna get an album out in 2021 and then another one out in 2022. Now we're here to carve out bone. We're here to take shit seriously. And I have to admit, gentlemen, the first music video ever that I saw for Bonecarver, I was very surprised to see that there was actual TV-17/TVMA gore and violence in the music video. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Because back then they didn't really think to have any warnings. That really started with this year, as far as really bad visceral gore and violence in music videos. So I remember seeing that. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? And I think I even paused the video. I'm like, okay, this might be a little bit too much for me right now, despite having listened to Slipknot and all these other various bands. And this was just last year. I'm like, I don't know if I want to see a guy getting his organs ripped out of his chest and shit. That's, I guess for me, I'm I can never watch an A24 film. I've seen 2 already, and that was enough. Yeah. So basically I remember my first impression. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? This is actually like a rated R music video and shit's going down. But now it's like, okay, now we're talking with these guys, and obviously the music has changed a lot since the Evil album, and obviously I still gotta listen to the Evil album. So if anything, I mean, shit, Bonecarver is the only other band I know in the scene who has a consistent mask going on. So what is the story behind the Bonecarver mask? What was the inspiration for getting that cooked up?
Having a good friend of us that is a sculptor, and he works really well. That is the one that wears the mask in the videos.
Right.
That's the guy. Jorge Junta, really good guy. I was with him yesterday having a beer in Madrid. The thing is we wanted something new, something fresh, something different from different masks on the scene. We could all imagine the one from Slaughter to Prevail. It's a really
Yeah.
cool mask, but I don't like my mask with horns, with teeth, or with anything sharpened. These guys, we really liked how he worked. Yeah, it looked the golden one.
Oh yeah.
Really cool. I really like it, but the thing is, like, I like it for them, not for me.
Right.
And I know it's not that. Let's say that mask, it's easier to understand and to sell because it's easier. All the patterns doing in the mask. For us, it's more complex as we feel our music could be. And the thing is, like, we just get an artist, a really good artist, and tell him, like, please create a piece of art for us so we can have a monster behind it. And he was really cool. He did it really well. There's a video that Ruben worked on it. That is the how was made the evil video, that the one that you were talking about. And in that video, there's a little interview too with him. So he explains the process and everything. So yeah, I think it will be easier for not get longer with the podcast. That if someone willing to, okay, I want to learn about this, it's in there. It's like evil how was made or something like this, and you will see it. And at the end, it's just like this. It's like, okay, let's, as I told you before, let's just make a good group of friends around that has things to offer, and we like to bring them the opportunity to work with us. And this is why Bonecarver, at the end, we are our four faces are Bonecarver, but there's so many people around behind us that supports, that helps, that encourages us to improve, to get better, and to keep on with music, with and with everything we do. So yeah, so at the end, Bonecarver is a big family.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah, that's it.
Sweet. And I think that's a great way to get that question answered. I do appreciate you, Alberto, providing us the primary context, and blah, 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 especially everybody else who has been providing commentary throughout the entire session, whether for your own story or for the story of formerly Cannibal Grandpa, now Bonecarver. So now, ladies and gentlemen, really the final section of the podcast, really, is going under the skin of Carnage Funeral. This album will be out November 11th when I'm out of town. So basically, I'm going to have the upload ready to be made public on the YouTube channel, but I will not be making it public until the 11th for the sake of promoting the album the best way I see fit by people listening to the record. And then they're like, hey, what is this album about? And they can come and check out the Under the Skin session and really understand what's going on lyrically. That's what Under the Skin is. It's digging under the skin, opening up the leather hard book of this record. So, Fernando, were you the primary lyricist behind the Carnage Funeral record? Or who was the primary lyricist?
Alberto, Ruben, and I wrote everything.
Okay, understood. Sweet. So Alberto, in that case, which I like that. It's a pleasant surprise. Usually, when people think of a band, they think that the vocalist would be the primary lyricist for the record. But by all means, let's change up the formula a little bit. Alberto, as we dive into and dig under the skin of Carnage Funeral, what would you say is a quick summary, a back of the book summary for this album, lyrically speaking?
I would say in this album change a little bit because I get more into the lyrics, little spacing here just to get into so people can understand that our first album was thematic, was Alberto's story, then was like the story behind his death, about his son and how he tried to give the 7 deadly sins into 7 child and raise them with those child, and this is why Septum Signa Inferno. And we always like to do like thematic albums, having some context and not being like criticism, not being like I don't like this, I want to talk about this, I don't like politics, I don't like Christianity, I don't like no, we are not in that point. We like to tell stories, as you have seen in the videos, and with everything. We just want people to get into an imaginary and imagine all the story we're telling is like a movie, but you're listening to it, and every song is a chapter. So
Yes.
this is Evil. Evil is it's an album that talks about different ways of conceiving the evil that surround us. It could be a guy that gets mad and shoots his family. It could be about aliens coming, like wormhole song. It could be about the Hound Pound song that is about the raising, leaving the dogs out from their cages.
Yes.
Whether the vengeance will be there, it will be about evil. That is like the full explanation and how you say it, how grotesque was the video, because it's evil, and that's the point. And Carnage Funeral for me, it's a another step on evil, but it's about always telling a story about could be like for the I will talk for the two soundtracks that we have released up to now. Carnage Funeral, one that gives a name to the album. It's for me it was a little mix about let's say Marvel movies. For example, I'm really fan of Marvel with Ruben, and the idea of ending with people just to make this the planet survey us is like, okay, we are the problem, so just erase someone there. But we were coming out from the pandemic, and at the same time was like, what about someone that gets mad being isolated in the pandemic with the COVID-19, and thinks that the only way he can help the world to improve it's about the idea of ending with a human race, with the idea of it's not what I think, it's not what none of us thinks, it's just a story. It's about having the influence of the idea of Thanos, that I have to end with 50% of everything. Sorry for spoilers if someone hasn't seen Avengers Endgame. It's like in 2022. Sorry guys.
Yeah, seriously.
Percent out of everything so people can live well. So this is the same. There's the idea of someone that has been ill during the pandemic and has affected his mind about the idea of ending with everything so the world can keep on, and all mixed together. I know it works, and it gives me a story to tell.
Yes.
It's the same about Anthem Atrocity. The other song is if you take the lyrics and you read them, you're watching a film about Indiana Jones entering in a tombstone and trying to get something, a treasure from there. But it's not about that. It's about it's more about it's psychological thing about society, about how the political correct things that no, it's not correct to say this, is more correct about to say this way, or it's about the things that our own society doesn't let us be as free the way on speech or to be as we would like to. And this is why at the end I'm telling a story, but there's another background in the back. But I don't like to say like this is the way. No, it's just like I wanted to tell something, and I want to tell you a story, but I don't want to be in a story that it's empty. I want you to think about something. It's like you are gonna get your own lyric. It's like I'm telling you a story. Now is your turn to know or to get the learnings from that song that you like. As for example, I work in some of the songs with Fernando. There's another ones. For me, one that is really special that you'll see in the album, but it's really important because it has a lot of iconography of the Catholic week in Spain, like in Easter, and influenced by a video game that is called Blasphemous, that is from a Spanish project group that designed the video game, and I beat the game during the pandemic because I get ill. I was like for 4 days like I'm gonna play my computer.
Yeah.
And that game has a really powerful imagery, and the songs from that video game is really hard. And at the same time, we have all of us, and I know for sure that most of the listeners of this program will know someone who has suffered a big depression.
Yes.
And for sure they know some friend or something, and behind that lyric that is like really powerful in the images that it creates, like you will see, but it's like the empty tree in the middle of the nothingness,
Yes.
and from God that comes raises the grass. And for me, after all that song, that's a positive meaning of how to come out from depression.
Yes.
How to go out from, because I've seen it not in myself, in someone around me,
Yes.
and I like how they went out. And I'm just trying to not telling you how to do it. It's just like,
Yeah.
I have a story, and I have a way to tell you something that I live. There's another song that could work about that is something is more common for you in the States, to talk about it, about the arm industry, about the problematics that could have all the arm industry in
Right.
the States, and it's more problematic than here in Spain.
Yes.
But there's another song that could talk about this, but doesn't tell you like, hey, this is wrong. No, I'm telling you a story related
This is
to that.
yeah, offering a perspective.
And another one that for me is really important is from an uncle that I lost last year. I don't know what was the cause. He just died with being less than 50 years old. But the thing is that it was in his young age. He was
Yes.
more into drugs and into things. I'm not the one to say like, hey, guys, don't do drugs.
Right.
I have joints with all these guys, and I've been all this time drinking a beer. So
Yeah.
but the thing is, be conscious about what you're doing to your body, and if you do it and you know what you're doing, then let's go for it. But please think that in the future, everything has a response.
Yes. Everything has a
For me,
consequence.
I've seen someone that has gone out of that was redoing his life, and
Yes.
from nowhere he just disappeared. I don't know, there are so many things that could inspire you. There are so many things that could be around, some things that you may want to say, some things that you may don't want to say. But the thing is, like, if you have a story to tell and someone wants to try to imagine that story, to be in there, to get into the lyrics and say like,
yeah,
okay, the world that you're creating for me is like, okay, I come to see the new Marvel movie, so please give me something that I will appreciate. This is why we try, and this is why I could bring the first idea for this album for the lyrics, because in the last albums it has been Alex and Ruben with Fernando doing it, and I wasn't that much into lyrics. I think
yes,
this was the one that I really get into it.
But that's really cool. Yeah.
At the same time, I just give them the lyrics like, hey guys, I have this idea. I try to tell this. This is what I came for. This is what I bring you. So please, guys, add what you want. If you don't understand something, we can change it,
yes,
and let's work it all together, because that's the way we work. It's like we don't impose
as
things.
a team.
That's, yeah. And this is why at the end, I think it works. I hope people likes the stories that we tell, because that's what we want people to
Yes.
understand, that all those stories that we're creating in our minds, in our music, in our videos, and in our merchandise, if you want.
Yeah.
But at the end, so what it's under the skin of Carnage Funeral. It's a movie. It's a movie made music, and it's a really powerful one.
Yes.
It's a typical one. It's like the Avengers, but if they were fighting with demons.
Mm-hmm.
It's epic. It's powerful. It's dark. It's fast.
Right.
And I don't know. I'm really proud of what we've created. I know people would like more this album, or the last one, or the I still love Cannibal Grandpa Fierce Terra. Okay, I like it too. The thing is, like, let's give it a try. Give it a try. See if you like it.
Give it a chance, man.
I know. Just try to think on all the story that is behind this. Not only about the listening to slams in 8-string guitars. Okay, no, there's more. So, if those people want to try to see what it's in the back, there's here a big explanation. If not, if you catch up as live playing or something, we are always with our with the audience in there. We like to chat with everyone. So if
Yes.
someone wants to ask for something like, hey man, I'm really into this song, I would love to know something.
Yes.
Just come, tell us, ask. If and if we don't go to your country or to your city, not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, if you want to ask, we are behind our socials.
Yes.
So write us down. We'll be there. We don't can promise that we are responding in 1 hour, but for sure we will read you. So yeah, that's under the skin of Carnage Funeral.
Right. And more or less, I appreciate the commentary that you have provided so far. And currently, like on Indie Merch, they have the pre-orders up, ladies and gentlemen. It's a really, really awesome merch spread through Unique Leader Records and Indie Merch. Be sure to go check it out. Grab a couple items, because I know I'm going to be grabbing a couple items, especially because of this opportunity, and not to be that person. But seriously, it's cool to talk to a band all the way over in Spain, and now more specifically for more than 2 hours, which is crazy. And again, I do appreciate you guys' patience, being willing to hang out, all that. Specifically with Under the Skin, though, at this moment in time, we are only really aware of 2 tracks. So we have 2 tracks specifically covered. So more or less the Under the Skin formula, I would be asking if you, Alberto, would be willing to disclose the names of the other tracks in the track listing per se, and then if you would be willing to disclose the lyrical context of those tracks as we talk about, just, even if it's a small summary, because you already mentioned some stuff, and we can edit all that out if need be. But if you'd be willing, would you be willing to kind of check off every single one of the tracks in the record, and just basically like little short summaries of all of those tracks? Would you be willing to do that, or would you rather us?
I could try. I'll try to be as fast as I can.
Right, no problem. Sorry.
A little late, but yeah. The thing is like Carnage Funeral, announcing Atrocity. I talk about them. They're reckoning. I would highly recommend everyone go to see The Northman, the film that wasn't released.
Oh yes, I need to see that so bad.
The Reckoning, it's something that inspired me, that film. You will see it's about vengeance, it's about the wrath, it's about the story that comes behind. Has a lot to be. So first watch the film, then listen to the song, read the lyrics, you will understand almost everything. Third, I cannot tell you right now, basically because I remember really good the lyrics. But yeah, it has to be more. I know Pillars of Tragedy has to be about all the arm industry that I told you.
Yes.
More Desecrator is one of the ones that Fernando helped the most and did almost everything. But it's if I don't remember it's bad, is more about into is that song especially is one that comes apart because it's more about how to create lyrics for the music that we are listening to, because it's a song that it, as the name says, it has to be like zombie culture industry, and it has about what about if I'm here in the morgue working in here and then the body starts racing and chasing me, and you, the idea is that you can take out the lyrics, only listen to the song and try to and get into that film. It's like, okay, you can try to imagine you getting there and just opening the wardrobes and say that there's no bodies in here where they are, and
yeah.
There is a film.
There's actually a film.
That I used to inspire for that song. It's like in Spanish, Cadaver's Corpse. I don't know if in English is the same. It's not literally translate. I'm sorry, I don't know it.
You're good.
But it's like for that in a morgue that a girl that is working there and a corpse start moving, and I try to put on the position of the corpse that start moving, that I woke up on the morgue, and that's one of the sentences of the song.
Yes.
So that Morgue Desecrator has a special way of treating it, because it's more about well, it's kind of like the reckoning. It's like, okay, we watch something that we liked, and
Yes.
now we create a film or about that film, but our film is not visual, it's a musical one.
Right.
The Red Wake is the one that I was telling you about, the idea of getting out of a depression.
Yes. Okay.
That has really powerful lyrics for me. Then Horror Disorder, the 8th track of the album, that's a really interesting one because it's more about the nightmares. It's more about the limits of on our brain and in our imaginary. And what I found really interesting is like musically, that song is the craziest for me because it's like really an horror disorder, that song, and that's the idea. And we created like that. It's like it's not like an exercise of creating something that doesn't sound correct.
Yes.
It's like everything's like doesn't that sound out of place, or it doesn't work in here, but all
it's
the songs
strange.
sound like that. So yeah, so it's an exercise, it's a composing exercise, and the lyrics goes with it. And at the end, it's a really cool song, and I really like it. And the end of the song is like really fucking epic.
Sweet.
Of the Disorder. So I hope everyone likes it because it's like really powerful and shaky, and it's groovy. So
yeah,
it's a really cool song. And Bereavement is the one that talks about the abuse of drugs, and I don't know. It's an introduction album to get into the lyrics and just try to see what it wakes you up inside.
Right, exactly. It sobers you up.
Yeah, that's it. It's an album just to listen, to enjoy, and to try to get into a film by yourself.
Sweet, awesome. And I do appreciate that. I was like, are they not allowed to talk about the album for a second? But I am so glad that you ended up kind of making a quick summary of Carnage Funeral, because it provides even more context to what is going to be a phenomenal death metal record, a tech death metal record, coming out November 11th via Unique Leader Records, the same house, the same home as our buddies in The Breathing Process, To the Grave, Worm Shepherd, Awaken Providence now, which is super cool, and we hope to be interviewing them here pretty soon, and plenty of others, people. And as we wrap up this episode of the Anatomy Podcast, in which it's almost 11:30 over there, so I will make this quick as possible, gentlemen. Basically, we know you have an album coming out. We know you signed, and you already have a record out as of last year, that being Evil. So everybody be sure to go check it out. Or if you want to, just wait until I check it out, upload it, and then check it out with me up on the Sean Cross channel. That'd be super cool. But what do you gentlemen, what would you say is like, do you guys have any plans for touring in Europe within the next year or two? Like, obviously those are bigger plans. That's something more or less you would kind of have to keep behind the scenes. But is there anything, obviously the record is coming out, what other things do you guys got going on here in the near future? That would be the question. What do you guys got going on other than the album here in the future, despite how big this record already is going to be?
We already have announced a festival in Czech Republic, the Death Coffee Party, I think it was called. It's a really cool festival, and we're going there. And we could tell that we are working on more things. Our managers and Unique and everyone in the band is working on new shows, new tours, and everything that we can do, because there's nothing that we like more than getting to the road and be playing in front of everyone that wants to come and join us in our shows. But at the moment, I think we cannot tell a lot more.
Yeah.
Things closed yet. May I got into a problem if I say something? So.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Naturally speaking, of course. So in that case, ladies and gentlemen, after what is actually 2.5 hours, not even including the intro that Fernando is going to be cooking up for us, which I'm super excited about that. That will also be uploaded separately on what will be the Anatomy Podcast as a YouTube channel here in the near future. I'm getting that cooked up for everybody. That way, when you get the notification bell, that is for a new Anatomy Podcast episode. That is ultimately the goal. But thank you, gentlemen, so much. Thank you, Alberto. Thank you, Alex, or otherwise known as Tenophilus. Thank you, Fernando, and thank you, Ruben Contreras, for deciding to give us 2.5 hours of your late Sunday night. Couldn't imagine a better episode for today here on October 23rd of 2022. We're getting closer and closer to Halloween as well. Gentlemen, is there anything else that you would want to say to the audience? Like anything at all?
Thank you everybody for listening to us, and it's always a pleasure to play in your cities and to meet you guys. And don't be shy, talk with us after the shows. We love it.
Thank you too for inviting us to the podcast, for doing this for the community, because it's a really cool job. And yeah, thank you for inviting
It's fun. Like once it stops being fun, I'll stop. But other than that, it's like, yeah, hopefully one day I'll be like actually traveling out to, you know, these countries around the world, and perhaps like let's link up somewhere, you know what I mean? Somewhere around the world. I will make plans, gentlemen. But thank you guys, everybody, for stopping by, and to you gentlemen, be sure to enjoy the rest of your night.